Okay, man, I'm going to say this shit again because people seem to not understand the point. But it's like, okay, when you're dealing with people in life, all right, I've said this multiple videos, not said this, but if you have, okay, you have to understand, this is the same fucking shit when I'm saying don't play their game, okay, whatever it is, you have to, when you are dealing with people, you have to have an idea of yourself. You have to know yourself enough to know, what am I getting out? How am I approaching the situation? What do I need to get out of the situation? And what is the behavior that I expect out of myself and then I expect out of others? And to make sure that those two things are going to go together. So don't expect someone else to behave a certain way when you are not behaving a certain way. And don't allow an interaction to start going on some other way, some other vector. Like if I am in a situation where I'm dealing with someone and we are working together to solve a problem, whether it's I'm paying for something at the store or working on a project together, whatever it is, if the other person is not okay, so I know myself, I'm in this situation. What we are doing in the situation is we are attempting to resolve a problem. And if we are both working to get to that point where we are solving the problem, that's what we're doing here. Now, the minute that someone else is doing something that is not working towards solving the problem, that's an issue. Because now you are doing something that actually has nothing to do with what we're doing here. And this is where it's like, in your personal life, this can be the same case. At work, when you're a leader over people at a job, this is the same type of thing. It's like, if someone's intention, everything, when you are at a fucking place of work, when you run a business, you have to have a vision of what you're fucking doing at the company. And at all times, everybody in the company has to understand what that is and understand where we are fucking going and what the plan is, what the direction is, what our values are, what our vision is, where we want to be, and how we want to conduct ourselves on the way there. And so everybody has to buy into that when you're on a team. Everybody has to buy into that. And you are the one that has to set that. So that's the expectation. The expectation is that everybody on the team is going towards this exact same thing. Everybody is moving towards this same direction. Now, if someone is not, if someone is doing something, as you proceed, people will step out of line, because this is just what happens. When someone's doing something that isn't moving towards the direction of where you need them to, of where you are going as a group and as a team. If someone starts to deviate from that and is doing something for their own ego, or they're doing something for themselves that that is not moving towards the group plan, the group goal, it's a problem. So if you're in a meeting and someone's more focused on their own ego versus solving the problem of whatever the project is, or whatever you're trying to complete, or whatever you're trying to finish, working together to move towards that, and knowing that there's expectations, the expectations have been set, everything is known by everyone, and we all know what we're trying to do. If someone steps out of line and starts behaving in a way that is not oriented in that direction, it becomes a problem, because you can't have someone on your team who is not helping move towards that. It's going to poison the team. At the very least, it's going to be unproductive. They will be unproductive in attempting to reach the mission goal or whatever you're trying to get to. So when people are stepping away from that direction, that orientation, they need to be given an opportunity to realign themselves. Maybe you give them 1 or 2 or 3, maybe you give them 3 chances. And the way you do that is you however you do that, a million ways to do that. You have a conversation with them, you let them know. As long as you have set the expectation, everybody knows how they should be acting, and everything in the company is everything that's done is we're going here. We're going towards this direction to get this done, because that's what we do here. And if someone's not doing that, they get a couple chances to fix it, or they're off the team. You got to fire somebody. And that's how it is. That's how it's like when you have a marriage too. You have to set an expectation to your wife, like, this is what we're doing here. This is what we're doing together. This is what this relationship is about. And if you stop doing that, if you're no longer going that direction, if something that you're doing is not about that, we can, you have more of a conversation with your wife than you would with an employee when she steps out of line. You can, there's other tools you can use, but it's like, you have to get everybody on that fucking path again. So those situations now are very different from something where you're just out in public dealing with random people. But it is the same principle. There has to be an expectation of behavior that you have for others and you have for yourself. And if that's not being met, there's a problem. Now, it's less critical, right? It's very critical when you're on a team working together that everyone's moving towards the same thing. But if just someone you're just dealing with out in public is acting in a certain way that doesn't comport with your own personal values or what you need to do in your life, you know, like how much are you really going to go? How far out of your way are you going to go to change their behavior? Like, cause it's like, what is the limit to that? Like, if someone's like very obviously disrespecting to you, if you got to go punch someone in the face because they disrespected your wife, like you got to do that then. Like, there's certain situations, right? There's levels to this shit, but it's like, dude, if someone's being passive aggressive, dude, I can't see a situation where you have to buy into that ever. You could stop. You could treat them the same as your employee. You could tell them, hey, we don't do that here. This is not how we're going to operate. But you would, if with your employee, you would never go back at them in the same way that you wouldn't. You can't act like a child. This is the thing. People who act like that are acting in a certain type in a way that is disrespectful, but it's like a immature level of behavior. Like you can't stoop to that. You can't become that. You have to find other ways to orient yourself in the world. There's so much. And honestly, one of the biggest ways to do it is just giving respect to people. If you treat people with respect, even if someone's disrespectful to you, if you treat them with respect back, they're gonna feel so shitty for having done that, and it destroys any level because people want you to feel bad. If you literally stay above all that bullshit at all times and never let it bother you, then no one's ever gonna get to you. And if you have such a weak ego that if someone like if someone assaults or insults your ego slightly and you feel like you have to go out of your way every fucking time to defend it, you're the weak one. You're the fucking weak one. There's two people in that situation. There's one person who wants to steal energy from other people, right? And then there's another person who's so fucking weak that every fucking thing that bothers them, they have to go out of their way to like massively correct it in the world. And it's like you have to. It's the same fucking principle, man. It's the combination of humility and arrogance that we have to bring to the world as men. Like you have to be confident and arrogant enough to fucking take situations and you have to be able to make it what you need it to be. But you also have to be humble enough to know that not everything in the world is yours to fucking go out of your way to control. You got to have the ability to do it. That doesn't mean at every step of the way in your life, if everything you do, you're trying to fucking control and tamp down other people's behavior, you're the fucking psycho. And that's the thing. Like, if you can't become so obsessed with it that you lose yourself into that, and you will become what you fucking hate if you do that shit. You can't demand other people to behave a certain way. Even with the shit with your employees, it's not demanding them. It's not demanding. It's their choice. Here's what you always have to recognize. It's always somebody else's choice in life, the way that they behave. You can never force someone to do anything, ever, 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 ever. It's always somebody's choice. You can sometimes force them for a little bit, but it's not a long-term strategy. Definitely not with people you have a long-term relationship with, but it's also not a long-term strategy for you to manifest that type of energy on a regular basis. You're going to get it back to you. You can't go around trying to force the world to do what you want it to do because it's never going to. That's not how the world works. It will flashback. That will smack back in your face so fucking hard. What you have to do, again, I said it so many times, you have to know yourself. One, know yourself to the point where you know who you are. Then two, you have to know yourself to the point where you know who you are and you know what behavior you expect from other people in the world and also from what you expect from yourself. Number two, you got to be able to enforce that, not enforce it. You have to be able to make sure that is maintained in your life. But that doesn't mean maintaining it in your life doesn't mean going out of your way to force other people to behave in a certain type of way. It is knowing that is your requirement, and if people do not meet that requirement, they are not going to be a part of what you're doing. But there's many ways to do that. Like if someone's being disrespectful to you as a stranger that you'll never see again, it's like for you to go out of your way to get angry, to like argue or to yell at somebody in a fucking line at a grocery store just because they said a passive aggressive comment. You're the fucking loser. Like, not everything has to be a fucking battle. You have to know what's important enough for me to have to go out of my way to try to change, to try to affect the world around me. Because there's certain scales which you just don't have. You don't need to. Like, why would you? You don't need to go out of your way to try to force everybody to do what you want them to do. It's never going to work, first of all. But you also, there doesn't need to be a there's no need. There shouldn't be a need inside of you to have to do that. It should be something that you know in certain situations that it has to be, that it needs to be. It shouldn't be a need inside of you. It's something that is this is integral to what I am doing. If you to my goals, that's the thing. If it's like this in my life, I can't have certain things that go wrong. I can't have someone do things in a certain situation. On principle, you go around in your life and you treat other people with respect, and they would treat you with respect. Now you're gonna run into fucking douchebags. It just is what it is. But you got to recognize them for what they are. There's someone that's living life the wrong way, and if you respond to that by living life the wrong way and buying into that shit and going along with them, you become just as bad as them. You got to understand, like, people's behavior doesn't need to be mirrored. There's other ways to go around it, man. Like if you stay inside of who you are and your behavior, that's okay. Here's the other thing. Here's kind of the crucial part of it. This goes to the first point of it. You got to know yourself and then know the behavior that you expect from other people and yourself as well. And if you are allowing yourself to act like people that you don't like, then you have no ability to tell anyone else to act any other type of way. You've lost all moral authority. So that's what it is that if you can go try to beat people in a game that everyone's going to lose at, some games, there's no winners, right? So those games you should not play. Don't fucking go play that game. That's the other thing too, is like, you got to set up, like, in life, like, you have to know when you are in the wrong situation, when you need to get out of it. If someone else is trying to play a game by their rules, then you can never play that. You gotta, as a man, you gotta set your expectation, know what your rules for other people are, and then play within that shit. But it's like, it's complicated, because if your rule is that your rules have to include your own behaviors, like that I don't act like a douchebag, then you can't act like a douchebag in response to someone else acting like a douchebag. What you have to do is you have to find other techniques to deal with the situation. You have to understand the other person as well. So it's like, you can't. It goes back to the point. This guy makes a comment on this video. It's like, yeah, I get what he's saying, but that's it. It's like the juvenile form of trying to understand how to deal with this, because if you don't understand that, you will become the thing that you hate. If you mirror that behavior that you do not want to see in someone that's being douchey or being an asshole, you will turn into an asshole yourself, and then you're just as bad as that. So when you go around in the world responding to that behavior with the same shit, then you're not going to get. Dude, it's like, you can go around, and if everybody that insults you, you go punch them in the face. Like, that's one way to do it. Like, walk around in life, and if anyone's kind of rude to you, just punch them in the face. That's not going to go well for you. Like that's hey, if you don't treat me with respect, I'm gonna fuck you up. Boom! You just fucking throw a fucking hand in throw a fucking fist in someone's face. Like that. Okay, that's one way to do it. That's a way of demanding. All caps. This guy fucking leaves a comment. All caps, demanding. You can earn respect by having the balls to demand it. Relationships start with respect, and you earn respect by having the balls to demand it. No. So this is exactly what I'm responding to, is that you can't do that. That's exactly what the point is, that you actually can't demand respect from other people. That's not how it works. And it's interesting, because you can think that. You might think that, because that might work in some situations, but on principle, you can't take something from someone else, because people give up. Power isn't something that is taken from someone. Power is granted. Someone else will always grant you the power. And power is, dude, you get power by people respecting you. First of all, you have to be good enough at what you do for people to respect what you do. And if you behave in a way that is just as abhorrent, just as disrespectful as someone else does, they might be afraid of you. Here's the difference. Fear and power are so far apart, man. People think that they're the same thing. Just because someone's scared of you doesn't mean you have any power over them. You might have a little bit. You might have like a little bit of control, but you don't have any influence. And control and influence are not the same, man. If you're controlling someone, you're forcing them to do something. People will never. You can only get away with that for a little bit. It's not a long-term solution. It will destroy your life if you attempt to do that, because that will just manifest all this negative energy from other people, and they're going to come back. They're going to hate you, and that's the situation you're going to end up in. What you have to do is you have to be able to influence other people. So it's the same thing when you're at your when you're running a company. You have to look. Other people are going to be in a situation where they have to listen to you, right? But they have to choose. They have to choose to listen to you in the long term. Otherwise, they'll just quit. And they might not be a good fit. Some people aren't a good fit. Some people aren't a good fit for your life, but it doesn't mean you have to go around at every fucking second trying to fucking force somebody. And even if they're your employee, if you deal with that by trying to control them, it's not going to work. It doesn't fucking work. You have to be able to influence people. And being able to influence people, there's many ways to deal with it, but it's like, what did this guy say? He said, you can earn respect by having the balls to demand it. All caps, demand. I disagree. I really disagree with that, because that is the way to give yourself a bunch more problems than you ever had before. Although you're gonna earn some little short-term victories and ego boosts, but that's the same fucking thing as those people are doing. It's like you got to understand, if you try to become that thing, you're just gonna be just as fucking bad. There's a better way, man. This is way more complex than that. There's a way more complex than walking around the world trying to fucking force everyone to do what you want them to do. It doesn't work. It will never fucking work. Know who you are. Know what you do, and then other people need to fall in line with that. If they don't, they're just gone. Let them go. Let them go. The same with that shit. Like, you don't have to. Not everybody that fucking comes up and says something rude to you has to be fucked up. You don't have to go. You don't have to go and deal with them like that, man. There's better ways to fucking do it. And as I said in the video, like, just being exasperated is one. Just don't buy into it at all. Or you can make it humorous. Like, you can there's other ways to do it. But if you go around and are like, don't play their fucking game, dude. I gotta remind myself of that shit, because it gets addictive. Like, the ego that you get from going out there and fucking doing that and getting in those battles, it's like addicting. You like want it. Like, you want to get in those situations. It's like, now this person's gonna be rude to me. I'm gonna be rude to them, and I'm gonna fucking win. When you walk away and when you win, you feel so good. Like, oh yeah, I fucking fucked that guy up. I made that guy feel like shit. It's like, dude, it's such a short-term thing. So it's like, that's the point of it. That's so funny that this guy made this comment, because he's half right. He's half right, is that you have to do something, but a lot of it, what it is that you have to do something within yourself, and what it is you have to be above this type of fucking behavior for the most part. You got to be able. You have to know how to handle it. Don't get me wrong. You got to know how to fucking end it if it needs to be ended, but you can't do it in the same way that they're doing it. Don't turn it into the same fucking thing, because it won't end well. You can't demand that shit. You have to expect it. If they don't give it, then you're done with the person. You're just done with them. Don't play their game. Don't play the game. But that's the paradox, is if you play the game by playing the game and doing the same shit they're doing, you're also playing their game. Don't ever play someone else's game. It's my world. These are my rules for how life is going to go. And if other people aren't going to fit in with that, fuck them. But it doesn't mean you go out of your way and you go fuck them and you go fucking demand that. You don't demand it. All caps, demand it. No. What you do is, that's your expectation. If they aren't meeting it, they're done. They're done. So you have the will, you have the control of your life to decide who you spend time with, who you deal with in the world. If people are like that, fuck them. You're done with them. Don't ever get into a situation where you have. That's the other thing too. Don't ever get into a situation where you have to be dealing with somebody. Because if they're like that, if that's the type of person that you need to not be around, don't be around them. But you don't go around and try to fucking kill everybody you don't like. So that's like, you can't demand it. That's the same thing as you can't force people to do shit. You can't force people to respect you. You can't demand people to respect you. So anyone that has had a business or run a business knows that you can't force someone to respect you. That's not how it works, man. When you try to do that, people are going to get so turned off, because that's just not how people operate. You can't demand it. You got to earn it. And you earn it by being good in a work environment. You earn it by just being the best fucking person at doing that shit, because you can't get power from authority. Demanding something is you're trying to be an authoritative figure. You're trying to take a position over them. You don't take a position over someone. You have to just be so fucking good at what you do that people respect it. People respect your game. That's the thing in life too, man. Like, I think the way to deal with it is just to fucking don't buy in. Don't play the game. You don't have any obligation to do that shit. And you have to be strong enough internally where you're not just taking if someone is rude to you or disrespectful, it can't end your world to the point that you have to go fight them now. That's a weak person. That's an insecure person. You have to be strong enough to know when you have to let some shit go. You really do. And it's like not and you got to see the other person's side of it. Like if they're in that situation where that's the way they're acting, it's not really worth your time to go out of your way to do that. So it's like this is the evolved viewpoint. I get what the guy's saying. He wants to go around, and everybody he encounters in life, he needs them to respect him. You do. Agreed. But you can't need them like I have to have them do it. It's like, no, you need them in the way that if they are going to continue having a relationship with you, then you need them to. But if they don't, then you just let them go. You don't go around demanding it. You give people the opportunity to make choices in their life. And if they choose not to do what you need them to do, then they can go. But that's what it is that you set the rules. And if someone doesn't follow them, then they are gone. But it doesn't mean you fucking kill them. It doesn't mean you make them feel like shit. Of course, you give people opportunities to redirect their behavior. You give people opportunities to redirect their behavior, but that doesn't mean that you don't mirror what they're doing. You can get a little phrase like, "Hey, we're enough of that," or "Excuse me, don't be rude." Easy enough right there. But I'm not demanding that. If the guy continues to do it, then you have to. You basically dismiss what someone's saying. What is it? You dismiss what someone's saying, you give them an opportunity to fix it, and if they don't, they're done. So you just dismiss it, give them an opportunity to redirect, dismiss, redirect, but you don't ever buy into it. You don't ever address it. If someone acts in a certain type of way you don't like, you don't fucking no. Dismiss, give an opportunity to recorrect, and then block them, get them out. That's it. It's not, you don't demand. That's not demanding something. It's not allowing poor behavior to be a part of your life. And then it's giving people opportunities to learn how to behave better. And then at the limit case, if they can't do it, they're done. But that's not demanding anyone to act a certain way. That at every step of the way, I'm giving people the opportunity to do whatever they want and act however they want. And that's you always have to do that, because you've got to understand that you can't control people. People have to be given the freedom to do whatever they want, because only in that case will they truly. That's the only way you can truly influence people, is if it's their choice. They have to be the one to make the decision that I want to listen to this person, or I want to give this person some of my time. That's the only fucking way that you can have any sort of impact on someone else. Going around demanding something from somebody never, ever, ever works. It's complicated, man. It's more complicated than you think. There's layers to it. But if you know yourself and you know your expectations for people, you know the limits that you set out in life, and you're able to enforce them. But I'm saying you have to also have expectations for yourself. And part of that is you don't go around enforcing, actively demanding people to do what you want them to do. But it doesn't mean that you go around and it doesn't mean you go around being a pushover, but it means that if someone is behaving in a way that's not aligned with what you need them to do, then they're just gone. They're out of your life. You dismiss it, you give them an opportunity to fix it, and then if they can't do that, then they're gone. But that at no point are you actively demanding, trying to force someone to do something. You have an expectation that is rigid and you won't change it, but that's your prerogative. And everybody has their choice in the world if they want to decide to do that or not. That's true power. That's true influence, is when you've given someone else the opportunity to choose. And you treat people with respect at all times. Every step of the way, that's treating someone with respect. If someone is disrespectful to you, you just dismiss it. That's not disrespectful. That's saying, hey, we don't allow that here. None of that. None of that. Hey, none of that. And I need you to get back here. I need you to get back right here. If they can't do it, then get them the fuck out. But at no point of the way am I like, hey, you do this right now. That don't work. You can't demand shit, man. I'm sorry. It won't work. You can try it. I promise you it will not work.